For the past few days, you've been living like fiction writers, seeing ideas for stories everywhere. You've been writing entries in which you think on the page about your story ideas. I read through your notebooks while you were in art yesterday, and what I saw blew me away. Listen carefully to what I noticed, because it's important. Although our mini lessons have been about strategies fiction writers often use to come up with story ideas, you guys are so alert as learners that on your own you have gleaned a whole lot about the ingredients that go into a story idea. Looking over your notebooks, I could tell that when we started this unit, you thought a good story idea might be like this one. A girl climbs a mountain by herself, and she's proud. And I can tell now that many of you realize that a story idea needs to include some more specifics about the character and the story. So it might go like this. A 9-year-old girl has a knee injury and will never be able to bend her knee. At first, she gives up on life, but then something happens to change this, and she decides not to give up anymore. To prove herself, she set out to climb the mountain that overlooks her house. She doesn't get to the top, but she proves to herself in a different way and learns something. I am not sure of the specifics. Today, each of you will reread all of your entries and select one seed idea to develop into a publishable story. I am going to teach you that fiction writers don't just go from choosing a story idea to writing a draft. Instead, a fiction writer lives with a story idea for a time. Specifically, I will teach you the thinking on the page strategies that fiction writers use to live with their characters and rehearse for their drafts. You will see that these strategies focus less on planning what will happen in your story and more on bringing to life the people who will make things happen. A fiction writer once said, "Before you can begin writing your story, you need to know your characters so well that you will know exactly how much change each one has in their pocket." I mentioned earlier that we'll need to reread all our story ideas and select one to develop into a publishable story. Honestly, I think that the truth is that usually there is one idea that chooses us. Usually I find that in the end, one idea stays with me and haunts me enough that it feels inevitable that I must write about it. This morning on my way to school, I realized that I had already decided to write about a little girl who really wants to fit in and make friends. So I put sticky notes on the pages related to that entry, and now I'm going to begin developing that seed idea and story idea. Notice that I don't start by thinking about what will happen in the story. I rein myself in, I hold myself back from doing that, and try instead to get to know my characters. I'm going to start by developing my character. I'm going to look at both outside and inside features of my person, so those external and internal traits. I really wanted my girl to be somebody who's really strong, so I looked up the word that means strong, and I found the name Britta. I also envision her having blonde hair that she likes to wear in a ponytail, and she has blue eyes. She's pretty casual. She just likes to wear jeans and t-shirts or her soccer clothes. She does like to wear earrings, though. She also likes to play sports, especially soccer and swimming. I need to develop some of those really good internal traits, too, to really get to know my character. So Britta is a girl who really wants to fit in. She wants to have friends, and she wants to be part of that group in her neighborhood, kind of like we talked about yesterday. She's really pretty sensitive on the inside, but she doesn't want anybody to know that. So she kind of likes to put up that wall so nobody sees how sensitive she really is. And she really does care about people. Did you see that I don't just come up with any old random characteristics for my character? I try to put together a person in such a way that parts of who she is fit together. They cohere into a person who begins to come to life. It's also important to stop every once in a while and reread your list and see, do these characteristics really fit together? Do they make sense? And are the traits here for a reason? I reread to test whether the characters I have created thus far stand up the test of believability. And most likely, if it's too good to be true, it really is. Oftentimes, if your character seems too nice, you need to add something to make them a little bit more complicated, like we are in real life. I wanted to give you some advice on developing characters today. Start with whatever you've decided matters to you about the character. Is he or she like you, like someone you know? Put together a character so that the parts fit together into a coherent person. Reread often, asking, do these different things make sense within one person, or do they fit together in a believable way? Are these traits here for a reason? Open up any broad general descriptors, words like sensitive, and ask, what exactly does this word, this trait, mean for this particular character? If a character seems too good to be true, make the character more complex and more human by asking, what is the downside of this trait? How does this character help and hurt the character? You've got some big work to do during Writer's Workshop today. You'll begin by thinking whether one of your seed ideas, one of your story ideas, has chosen you. If nothing seems inevitable, if nothing feels like it can't be ignored, you may want to spend a little more time collecting story ideas, going back and generating ideas. Either way, you will need to end today feeling committed to one story idea. And once you have your story idea, you can begin getting to know your character. To think about what your character is like on the inside and the outside, you may want to use a 2-column chart like the one we made together. I've got forms in the right. You can do that in your notebook. If you prefer to divide your page into 2-column notes, that's fine. Or you can alternate paragraphs, with some paragraphs telling the internal side of your characters and others the external. You're in charge, of course. From this day on, I hope that whenever you write fiction, you remember that instead of launching right into a draft or focusing only on planning the plotline of the story, you will rein yourself in, taking time to develop the characters. Good luck writing today, and make sure you bring your notebook back with you tomorrow.